Good evening, welcome to part 2 of the Corgi catalogue 2019 review, and this part I'll be covering all the Luftwaffe stuff and World War II piston stuff which was included outside of the new D-Day range. The first aircraft which I'm going to talk about is this magnificent B-17G, flak eater of the US Army Air Force in August 1944. After the massive success of Little Miss Mischief, it's no surprise that Corgi have gone after another B-17. Despite the age in its mould and obviously appearing its age a little bit, it's still a fantastic seller and should be really easy money for them. Really worth snapping up if Little Miss Mischief is anything to go by, as they sell really quickly. Really loving the shark motive on the front turret. Really sort of sets it off, and a nice shiny B-17 could well be your next sentimental journey in your collection. So next up is the first one of a quite hefty lump of Luftwaffe aircraft, and it's the Heinkel HE111 with the V1 underneath. It's the second version of the Heinkel with the V1 underneath. It sort of technically ties into the D-Day sets as well. I'm sure it's going to be a good seller. The previous one is very hard to come by now. It certainly keeps its money, although it is going to be sort of on the other side of £100 when it is released. Next up is the lovely ME110, fantastic looking model as always seems to sell well with Corgi. And this is the second night fighter they've released in 2 catalogues with the antlers on the front. This was a new type of radar introduced in 1942 where the pilot in the rear cockpit would pretty much direct the pilot to an intercept. This is sure to sell well. The previous one sold really well, and we seem to have an abundance of night fighter ME110s on the market now, but will surely sit nicely in any night fighter or bomber command collection. Next up, a couple of Luftwaffe aircraft for your Battle of Britain and Blitz collections. First up is the Stuka, based in France in 1940, early model Stuka. Not a lot of information on this aircraft yet, but looks a relatively plain scheme. And then you've got the Junkers Ju-88 A model of winter 1940, which we should, again, the pictures aren't very clear, but it should have a black belly and underneath wings, and obviously a standard green, double green camo on top. Finally, probably the highlight for me of the Luftwaffe aircraft is the Junkers Ju-52 Immelmann II, Hitler's personal aircraft. Anyone who's seen the film Valkyrie with Tom Cruise in will recognise this aircraft in one of the scenes being escorted by 2 ME-109s. I believe it was the Lufthansa one painted up in that special screen for the film, but it looks stunning. The Junkers Ju-52 always sells really well. The previous incarnation, the Crete version, sold out fantastically, so expect this to sell very quickly as well. Next up is another 4-engine bomber. This time it's the Handley Page Halifax. Again, another surefire winner with Corgi. The previous one, Vicky the Vicious Virgin, sold fantastically well. This is a quite special aircraft as it did 100 missions and completed its 100th mission on the 25th of March 1945. And it was quite special as it had a combination of both Australian, New Zealand and British airmen on board, so it was quite sort of an international aircraft. Be sure to get hold of this because this is sure to sell really well. The next Bomber Command aircraft is the famous Blenheim 4 from a operation called Operation Leg, and this will make a fantastic partner to one of Douglas Bader's Spitfires. Basically, Operation Leg was one of the missions in order to drop off a spare leg to Douglas Bader whilst he was interned in Germany. So this aircraft actually was the aircraft that dropped the new prosthetic leg for him. It was originally one of 6 aircraft on a bombing mission, but they didn't drop their bombs because there's high cloud cover, so it went on to its next mission to drop off the leg. So a nice little sort of pairing which will make with the Spitfire 5 of Douglas Bader. The final aircraft is the Special Operations Lysander. This aircraft is in the markings of the same aircraft that Brad Pitt would have flown in the film Allied, if you've ever seen it. And there was an aircraft replica made by Gate Guards in Cornwall, which has now ended up at the Battle of Britain Museum at Tangmere. But it's exactly the same in marking, so it's black underneath and the green and grey on top. All Lysanders do sell really, really well, and it's been a few years since the last one, so it's certainly on my hit list again. So that's it for me for video 2. I'll come back and do a third video on World War I, jets and helicopters, and then some faults and what I think they've done and how well they've done. So see you next time.